I grew up really fascinated with Celtic mythology. I mean, my father's Welsh. That side of my family is, and like, I grew up reading books about fairies and goblins and pixies. And when I dug into the stories about these creatures that lived in the woods out in Wales, there was such inconsistency in how they behaved, and I found that really fascinating. That these goblins were sometimes helpful and sometimes malevolent. Sometimes they were really needy and they wanted to move in the house, and other times they wanted to be left alone in the land of fairy. And as I read about these, I thought, this is just like a needy child. That's interesting. And a lot of the story kind of grew out of that, of realizing that nature has needs, or like these spirits of nature. And like, what if I did a film that was about that needy child inside all of us, but also inside the earth, or like a forgotten landscape. It needs to be remembered and seen and loved. And that's how it grew out from the mythology to the personal and then into the dramatic.
I think for me, it was just obviously you get everything you can from the script. I knew nothing about folklore. I knew nothing about that at all. So I came into this a bit blind. But you get everything from the script. So I read the script. It must have been about 50 times, trying to get the lines into my body so that when we went to set, it felt natural and it felt normal. There were a good few monologues of the history and the boy and what he's been through and how he sees the world and how he sees Daphne and Darcy. And I think for me, it was just tapping into that as much as I could. And also asking any questions I could, because Bryn knew the script so well inside out, back to front. It was just lovely to have that on set. If I was confused, if I didn't really know what something meant, he was there, and that was wonderful.
Yeah, I think it was daunting and intimidating. And I think because we both knew that we had to create a couple that knew each other so well, so quickly, we sort of were committed to making sure that felt really natural. And we had rehearsals, which we fought for, which aren't always something that's like you can afford to do. But I knew that was an essential part of us finding some kind of language together. And I think it was like physical language and touch and knowing how to be comfortable in a space together. And I think it probably came mainly from both of our commitment to knowing that this was a challenge. We just sort of had to jump in. It helped that the first scene we did was in the bath. So that sort of like broke the ice in lots of ways. And we just sort of thought, right, we're in now.
I think I had a lot of support on set. I've said this a lot, but we were all a family and we all took care of each other, even the crew. We all just came together because we knew that we were making something really wonderful and just magical. I think for me, I kind of just wanted to play the character as a human being rather than a boy. I think the character presents himself as a boy to Daphne and Darcy. But I think for me, it was just trying to play the truth of it as much as I could. And again, leaning on Bryn for support, any questions that I had. I think also we learnt a lot in the scenes together, what worked and what didn't. And I feel like we learned very quickly from each other what we needed, which was a masterclass really to work with Rosie and Dev in the way that they took care of me and we supported each other. And I think when you have that on set, it allows you to go to those dark places that you need to go to get the best from the scene. It's not always easy. Sometimes it's very hard. But I think when you've got a good team of people around you who can support you through that, that's when you get the best work. So I owe a lot to these guys. Yeah.
There were so many unanswered questions around him. And actually, when I first met Bryn and I asked him about the script, I said, I had this list. I was like, what does that mean? And what about this bit? And I'm very confused because the rabbit here is, and he was like, sometimes there aren't answers to things. It's just a feeling. And almost the boy or Jade, or it is sort of everything and nothing all at once. And it's this sort of being that kind of morphed into different sort of shapes throughout the process.
I think so much, like you said, like this character was yearning to be defined by this couple, and I think that's a through line throughout every choice in the film is kind of ambiguities, or kind of each character has something that they're yearning to be kind of named from someone else because they can't name it for themselves, and that we even tried to do that with the plot, you know, to like not make the plot so clear. You don't get all the information. You have to put the puzzle pieces together yourself and then accept that the puzzle doesn't make any sense anyway, and to sit in that feeling, that kind of the mystery, which is so terrifying. People fucking hate mystery. They hate it. They're like, must solve it, must solve it. But like the difference between, I think of this film as a horror in a way. This is ultimately, I think this is a fairy tale in the sense of like fairies. It's a story about fairies and fairy logic. And fairy logic is such that you put all the pieces together and it doesn't make sense. And you have to now deal with that. And that's the human experience. That's what it means to be a body in a chaotic world, you know? So this child really represents something that's a through line in the whole film. I'm very sensitive to sound, just as a person. Like and you know, you can enter a room and feel unsettled, and you're not sure why. And actually, it's probably because there's a strange hum in the room next door, and that sound, those vibrations, have moved through the walls and through the space, and then entered your body and created a sense of unease. And that's, for me, as a very sound-sensitive person, that's just my experience of the world, and it makes sense that has a parallel to the supernatural, and I count like undefinable emotional experiences as supernatural as well. Like that's just experiences that can't be seen, but they can be felt, and that's sound, you know. And so for me, sound and the supernatural are they're the same ghost, you know. When I sat down and decided to write a horror film, I thought, if I can write what really scares me, then it'll scare or unsettle or touch other people. So I asked myself, what am I most afraid of? And for me, like the idea of having my own family was and is kind of terrifying. And there's reasons in my history for that aren't really important. But unpacking or digging into that scary place and going, why is it that I feel unworthy of love? Why do I feel unworthy of belonging? And trying to answer those questions, characters come out, scenarios come out, and this film was an attempt to go deep down into that darkness. You know, like Joseph Campbell said that the cave you fear holds the treasure you seek, and that was the goal of trying to write this. And there's this kind of really funny, well, not funny, but like sweet poetry that in the making of the film, I really felt like I found people that I belong with. You know, like Jade said, there was a family on set, that these people understood it. They were willing to make space for each other's vulnerabilities and hold each other and support each other and play in the darkness. You know, and same with my crew. There are people now who I'll be friends with for life. More than that, brothers and sisters, you know? So in making a film about trying to answer, why do I feel unworthy of family? Cliche is like, I found one in a way. So it's been a healing journey for me.
It's cute.
And I'm trying not to be too cute, and I'm so cutesy. I'm a hippie at heart, but like, and I really hope that this film, even though it's a horror and it's unsettling and it's mysterious and dark, I hope it has a healing quality for people if they're willing to like bring their vulnerability to it and hear the message of the film or let it move through them. Then some people, I think, will heal a bit. That's already some feedback we've got. Some people have said they felt soothed by the movie, and that's a freaky goal. Make a horror film that soothes and heals people. But that was the mission.
I don't know how much I can say, but I've got a film coming out with Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Evans. So we filmed that in Greece and Bulgaria last year. So that should be coming out this year, hopefully. Touch and wood.
Do you have a sophomore feature brewing?
Absolutely, yeah. But like, it's too early to talk about it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.